What's up, you guys? It's your boy Zubily25, and this story time video is going to be about the time when I reapplied at Long John Silver's. Now, I decided to work at Long John Silver's again because I needed another job. It's just Cane's wasn't paying the bills the way that I wanted to pay the bills. You know, I was doing Cane's and then I was doing DoorDash on the weekends, but that wasn't enough income. So I'm like, okay, I need another job because I'm tired of struggling. It's time for me to apply at some other places. So I decided to apply at Long John Silver's again. And I just knew that it was going to be a great job. So I thought. So I went up to Long John Silver's. Well, before I went up there, I put in my application. I did my application online, did my resume and all that good stuff. And then they sent me an email saying that I had an interview. I think the interview was going to be like on Tuesday. I think I still got the messages, but I think they said that my interview was going to be on Tuesday at like 1 o'clock. Let me check to see if I still got that same text message. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Now, these are the screenshots. I'm going to show you guys these first. Okay, so I was texting one of the shift managers. I'm going to call her Susie. So I said, hey, Susie, are you guys hiring for night shifts on Friday through Sundays? She asked for what position. I said for cashier or cook. She said, yes, we have a new manager. Her name is, I'm going to call her Sharon. Okay, so this is the link. It says, hi, Charlie. They misspelled my name, but that's all right. We'd like to invite you to a meeting at Long John Silver's for a team member. And then they had a link below. And then if you scroll down, it also says, congratulations, your meeting with Long John Silver's for a team member is now confirmed. And they had the address. I blurred all that out. I even blurred out the link. And then it says that it's confirmed for October the 8th, which was on a Tuesday, from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. So after they sent me the email, I text Susie and I said, hey, Susie, they just sent me a link to an interview at your location. Can you let Sharon know for me, please? She said, okay. Then a week and a half later, I still haven't started. She was asking, did they hire me? I said, yes, I did my onboarding task. I'm just waiting for them to put me on the schedule. She said, make sure Miss Sharon knows that you finished. I said, okay. Is she there today? I can call her today at 4:30 when I get off from Cane's. She said, no, she is off. So 5 days later, Connie was asking, when do you start? I said, still waiting. They said that I'm finished with my onboarding task. And she just said, okay. This process is taking too long. So I text Susie and said, hey, Susie, I called and text Lena at 3:15 today, but I still haven't gotten a call back. Is her number blah, 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 blah? Or should I call Sharon tomorrow instead? Then she said, call Sharon tomorrow and let her know you called Lena yesterday. I said, okay. She said, she'll be out tomorrow. No, Lena will be out tomorrow and Sharon opens. I said, okay, I'll get off at 3 tomorrow. So I text Lena and said, hey, Lena, this is Charles. Do you need me to send you my availability by this week? Then she texts back the next morning and said, yes, please. I would like to get you started. So that's my availability. That's my schedule for Cane's underneath. Then I said, I can start this Saturday and I can work any other days by 5:30 p.m. on the days that I work at Cane's. On my days off from Cane's, I'm available whenever. She didn't say nothing. A few hours passed by. So I texted her back, said, hey, Lena, I can start tomorrow if you haven't finished the schedule yet. I just need this Friday off, but I'm available on any other days at 5 p.m. Then she says, "Good evening. I had a schedule made already for this week. You can start Sunday afternoon, and I'll have a schedule for the next week ready for you." It's about time. So I text Susie back and said I told her that I can start tomorrow, but I just need Friday off. But I'm available on any other days at 5 p.m. I'm still waiting for her to respond. Then she was like, "Let Sharon know," because Lena wasn't doing her job. So I said, "Okay, I will." Did she leave for the day yet? I have her cell number if she left work already. Then I said, "I just called her. She said that the managers have a meeting at 4 o'clock tomorrow. So I should know something about tomorrow." She said, "Okay." Yeah, like I said, this process was just ridiculous. So you guys saw the screenshots. And as you can see, they were giving me the runaround. Like, I applied at the beginning of October. I should not be starting after October. Like, this is ridiculous. So I had got the link for my interview. It was supposed to be for Tuesday, October the 8th at 1:30 p.m. So I got that email and I went up to the store. When I went up to the store, I saw a lady, which is Lena, but she was sitting at the computer. And then it was another worker. She was a cashier. I can't remember her name. It don't even matter. Her name don't even matter right now, but it was a cashier and she was like, "Hi, how can I help you, sir?" I said, "Hi, I'm looking for the manager." And so she turned around and I could see her looking at the manager on duty. And then I say, "Well, is her name Lena?" Because Lena was the assistant manager. And then she was like, "Hold on, let me go get her." And so I can hear them talking. And then she was like, "Tell him I ain't here." That's what I heard. I'm like, "You ain't here? Like, lady, do you know I can hear you? Like, for real? Like, come on." So the cashier came up. She was like, "She's not here right now." I said, "I just saw her. She's sitting right there and she just went to the back." I say, "I just need to speak to somebody because I'm here for a 1:30 interview." So she went back. Then she talked to her. Then I see Lena, like I see her rolling her eyes in the back. And then she gonna come up walking up to me with that fake smile. "Hi, how are you? How can I help you?" Like, lady, come on. Like, am I bothering you? Like, this is your job. They had no customers in the restaurant and they had no cars in drive-thru. Why you can't get off your lazy butt to come see what I want? Obviously, I'm looking for a job because I'm here for an interview. So I said, "Hi, my name is Charles. I'm actually here for a 1:30 interview." So she trying to be ghetto and professional at the same time. I don't know how the hell you gonna be ghetto and professional at the same time. Like, I didn't know that was possible. So she say, "Interview?" Anybody told me nothing. And then she raised her hands up. "Anybody told me nothing about no interview?" Anybody told me nothing. Interview? Anybody told me nothing. Anybody told me nothing. You got an interview? What time now? Like, lady, come on. Like, be professional. So I say, "It's an interview for 1:30. And then I show her the email on my phone. And she say, "Oh, that's just the computer. You know, the computer is just an automatic system. So whenever somebody put in an application, they automatically send them that link. But anybody told me about no interview. Anybody told me nothing about no interview." And then I say, "Well, where's the manager, Miss Sharon?" "She ain't here." "She off today." "I'm in charge." Like, lady, come on. So obviously she did not want to be bothered. So I'm telling her, well, I actually used to work for Long John Silver's. I was a shift manager. So her whole demeanor changed. And she was like, "Oh, so you coming in as a shift manager?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I want to come in as a shift manager." And she said, "Well, you're going to have to call, I'm going to call him Mr. Franklin." She said, "You're going to have to call Mr. Franklin because Mr. Franklin is over these shift managers. I'm not over that." And Miss Sharon, she basically just started not too long ago, so she's still in training. I'm like, how the hell is she going to be a store manager if she's still in training? Why you can't do the interview? Just put in a good word. Just call Mr. Franklin and tell Mr. Franklin, "Hey, Charles wanted to come back. He knows me." So she didn't want to she ain't had nothing to do with me. So I'm just pouring my heart out to her. Like, I have experience. I work at Raising Cane's. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I used to be a supervisor for Metrolift. I have experience. So she was like, well, we have a manager meeting on Thursday, so if you want to come back on Thursday, you're more than welcome to, and then you can talk to Mr. Franklin right then and there. I said, okay, cool, okay. I'll see you on Thursday. She was like, all right, see you then. I said, Thursday, what time? And she said, Thursday at 2:30. I said, I'll be here. She said, all right, have a nice day. Then she turned around. So I come back on Thursday, and all of the managers are having their meeting, and then I'm just sitting there. And then there was another, the cashier that was talking to me, the cashier that kept going to the back to talk to Lena, she was sitting there too because she was training to be the next shift manager. And so I see Miss Sharon, the store manager, and I see Mr. Franklin, and I also see Susie. Susie, I used to work for Susie. That was the screenshots that you guys saw when I was having a conversation with Susie. That's Susie. She was also a shift manager. So I'm talking to both of them. I'm talking to Susie. I'm talking to Sharon. I'm basically talking to all the managers in the meeting. And then Mr. Franklin was like, can you come over to the table so I can holler at you? Well, he didn't say holler at you. He was professional. That's just me talking to you guys. So I go sit down at the table, and he was like, all right, so you got the job. Congratulations. I'm like, I got hired. I got rehired. Right now, I just want to jump up and down because I'm so happy that I got rehired, because I did not think that he was going to rehire me. I'm just so blessed because I needed a job so freaking bad. So he was like, well, you got rehired. Congratulations. I said, okay, cool. I got rehired. He said, I'm going to start you off at 11 an hour. Come again? Huh? And I say, 11? I say, I have too much experience, Mr. Franklin. And he was like, well, no. You're going to start off at 11 during your training, and then I'm going to move you up to $12. I make more than that at Cane's, and I'm not even a manager. Like, I didn't tell him that. So I just took the job because I needed a freaking second job. Like, I needed it. Me and Amber were struggling. I needed some more income because one job, Cane's and DoorDash, wasn't cutting it. I needed another job because I didn't want to put all those miles in my car. I got tired of putting all those miles in my car every weekend. So he offered me the position, $11, and when I'm done with my training, he's gonna bump me up to $12. So I was like, okay, I'll take that offer. I shouldn't have took it, but I was desperate and I needed a job. So I talked to Miss Sharon and Miss Susie. They were excited to have me on board. And Miss Sharon, she was the general manager. She was like, well, welcome on board. And then she said, I'm gonna give you a call so we can have a conversation on the phone, just me and you. I'm like, okay, cool. So she calls me on the phone a few days after that. I think it was like, well, maybe it was like a week later. I can't exactly remember. But she was like, I don't want to pay you no $12. She said, when you done with your training, I want to bump you up to $13.50. Okay, now we talking $13.50. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. It might not sound like a lot of money, but hey, I'll take it. I'm making $13.50 here, and I'm making whatever I'm making at Cane's. Y'all ain't gotta know all that, but it's still more. I'm still making more than $13.50 at Cane's, but I'm just saying this will be a blessing. So I told her, I said, okay, I'll take it. She said, because you have too much experience. I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, and you work at Cane's, you work at Chick-fil-A. I know you have your experience. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to knock out your training. You're going to do all of your onboarding tasks, and we're going to be good to go. I'm so excited to have you. So at that point, I still haven't started. It's been like a whole week since I talked to Mr. Franklin, and since I talked to Lena and everybody, and I still haven't started. I was like, so when do I start? And she was like, you're going to have to get with Lena on that. Why do I have to get with Lena if you're the store manager? Like, I know you're in training. I know she trained you, but why do I have to keep getting with Lena? Like, you should have the final say so. Hey, Charles, get your butt back here. Let's start working. I shouldn't have to keep waiting on her. I ain't tell all this, but it didn't make no sense. So I ended up starting there in November. I put in the application on October the 5th, and I started the first week of November. It took me a month to get in the door. It didn't make no sense. It should not take that long. But when I first got started, I was so happy. I'm like, yes, I finally got started working at Long John Silver's again. I was excited. So my first shift, I was with a ghetto shift manager. Ghetto with a bad attitude. Her name was, what can I call this woman? I'm going to call her Sharonda. So Sharonda had a bad attitude. She was like in her 40s. I think she was like 44, 47 years old, something like that. But she had a stank attitude. So it was her shift, and I was also working on Susie's shift. Susie was also a shift manager. And Sharonda, she was like nitpicking on everything. She was like, why you making the combos like that? She was like, no. The hush puppies go in the empty compartments, and then you put the fries in the empty compartments. We had waffle fries at Long John Silver's, but when I was working there the second time around, we had natural cut fries. Then they ended up switching over to the waffle fries. You know, like Chick-fil-A waffle fries. Those are the kind of fries we were using. So she wanted me to count out the fries. 6 to 8 fries to a platter, into a combo. Who counts fries? So I'm giving out the fries. You giving out too many fries. Put some of them fries back. Like, lady, you do not have to yell at me like that. I ain't say that. Right now, I just need a job. So I'm letting her talk to me in the kind of way. I shouldn't have did that. I should have said something, but I need a job. Then it was time to make a sandwich. She said, do you remember how to make a sandwich? I say, well, it's self-explanatory. You know, all you need is the liner. And she was like, show me how you make a sandwich, because I want to see how you make the sandwich. So I got the little liner. I put it inside the microwave. She said, why you doing it like that? All you got to do is just take the sandwich bun and put it in the microwave like that. I said, well, we had to put the liner inside of the microwave so it don't cross-contaminate nothing. Baby, you doing too much. You doing too much. That's too much work. Well, go ahead and finish. And so I decided to wash my hands. She said, what you doing? What you doing? I said, I'm washing my hands before I make the sandwich. She said, your hands are clean. I'm like, she was like, that's why you wear gloves. Just put the gloves on so you don't have to wash your hands. I said, well, you still have to wash your hands and then put the gloves on. Baby, you overworking yourself. You overworking yourself. I'm like, no, it's not overworking. That's the food safety, lady. Like, aren't you a shift manager? I wanted to say all this, but I didn't say all this. But I'm going to wrap up this part because I know this video is getting very long right now. This is part 1 of me working with that ghetto shift manager. Doing things, she'd like taking shortcuts on everything. Everything. Trying to make... My bad, Amber was calling me. But she was taking shortcuts on everything. You know, trying to make a sandwich the wrong way. Like, that's not how you make a sandwich. That is not how you make a sandwich. You're supposed to wash your hands, put your gloves on, put a liner inside the microwave, heat up the sandwich rolls for like 10 seconds, then put the tartar sauce, then put the pickles on there, put the piece of fish on there, then cover it up, and then you wrap it. But she wanted to do it the fast way. At one point, she wasn't even wearing gloves. She was like, my hand's clean. I washed my hands 5 minutes ago. And she just threw the sandwich buns inside the microwave with no liner. And then I'm like, no, that's so nasty. She even did the tacos like that, like the fish tacos. I'm like, no, you don't do the tacos like that. You have to wash your hands and put gloves on. Ain't nobody got time for all that. Remind me never, ever, ever, ever to eat from that lady. But yeah, this is part 1 of me working the horrible, horrible, horrible shift with Sharonda. Stay tuned for part 2, guys. All right, peace out.